I am speaking, of course, of William, the great William McGonagall, who is, of course, the second worst poet that ever existed. Now, should anybody doubt that he is the second worst poet that ever existed, I have two words for you. Margaret Cavendish. Now, the worst poet that ever existed was Margaret Cavendish, and I challenge there is nobody can challenge that one for the crowd. Now, before I give you the McGonagall
one
poem,
of her poems.
thank you very much, ma'am. As if by magic, I have the Margaret Cavendish poem. Now, I actually have two Margaret Cavendish, but you're not that bad. I'll give you the short one. I think it more than makes the point. This is a wonderful poem goes by the name of, you may know it because, you know, good stuff. You just can't get it out of your brain when you hear this. It is a wonderful poem that goes by the title of What is Liquid? Now listen, you may think that bad poetry is easy. You may think, I go home this evening and I'll sit down and I'll just write some nonsense. And it's bound to be worse than that. This is not bad poetry, people. This is truly foul and pestilent. This goes beyond bad. This involves an element of genius. Margaret Cavendish, Duchess of Newcastle. What is liquid? All that doth flow we cannot liquid name, or else would fire and water be the same. But that is liquid, which is moist and wet. Fire, that property, can never get. Then 'tis not cold that doth the fire put out, but 'tis the wet that makes it die, no doubt. Now listen folks, you cut it right there. Okay, now this may not quite be up to the same standard, but come back to Alexander J. Christ Dowie once. Yank the glory most hapless blank from Bristol. And let us now look at praise of great preachers. I think this is the Obama thing, because everybody's mad into, you know, the rhetoric and oration and all the rest now because Obama's making the point. Did anybody notice, by the way, the exact opposite is Colonel Gaddafi in Italy recently? Colonel Gaddafi in Italy gathered the 1,000 most powerful women in Italy in a room for him to give this speech proclaiming himself the great champion of women's rights. Now you have to begging the pardon of anybody here, or the xenophobic and all the rest, you have to bear in mind, we're talking about the 1,000 most powerful women in Italy, one of whom was the former equality minister, who was also a former topless model. Now that's a strange type of, you know, but we are talking about women who, you know, have strived to progress the position of women within society. And Colonel Gaddafi got off and proclaimed himself a great champion of women's rights. They are, after all, he said, equal in humanity to men. And he paused like that for rapturous applause. He said there are obviously different streams within the working life that apply to each sex. This didn't go down terribly well, and the silence became a murmur. So he went forward and said, but in my country, I have done so much for women. There are some Islamic countries out there where women have to apply for special permission from the government in order to apply for a driving license. This, he said, is a disgrace. An absolute disgrace and an affront to the humanity of these women. Their brothers or their husbands should be able to sign the form for them. That's the opposite of Obama. You can imagine the reception he got. Now, in another time, in another place, I'll tell you the eyeball joke, which is a different version of that. Anyway, looking at Alexander J. Christ Dowie, I was inspired to go back to the great Wynn McGonagall and an address to the Reverend George Gilfannon, which goes, William McGonagall, no title. An address to the Reverend George Gilfannon. All hail to the Reverend George Gilfannon of Dundee. He is the greatest preacher I did ever hear or see. He is a man of genius bright, and in him his congregation does delight, because they find him to be honest and plain, affable in temper, and seldom known to complain. He preaches in a plain, straightforward way that people flock to hear him night and day. Join in if you feel it. And hundreds from the door are often turned away, because he is the greatest preacher of the present day. He goes off a wee bit. He has written the life of Sir Walter Scott, and while he lives, he will never be forgotten, nor when he is dead, because by his admirers it will be often read, and fill their minds with wonder and delight, and while away the tedious hour on a cold winter's night. I know it. He has also written about the bards of the Bible, which occupied nearly 3 years, in which he was not idle. Thank you! Because when he sits down to write, he does it with might and main, and to get an interview with him would be almost vain. And in that he is always right, for the Bible tells us, whatever your hands find it to do, do it with all your might. Reverend George Gilfannon of Dundee, I must conclude my muse, and to write in praise of thee, my pen does not refuse. Nor does it give me pain to tell the world fiercely that when you are dead, they shall not look upon your like again. Finish it off. Who's this actor in yellow gospel or the Marian Hall? Elijah's coming, washed in the blood of the Lamb. Come on, you wine-fizzling, gin-sizzling, booze-guzzling existences. Come on, you doggone bull-necked, beetle-browed, hog-jowled, peanut-brain, weasel-eyed, pork-blushers, false alarm, and excess baggage. Come on, you triple extract of infamy. Alexander J. Christ Dowie, that's my name, that yanked the glory most hapless planet from Frisco Beach to Vladivostok. The deity ain't no nickel-dime bum show. I put it to you, he's on the square of the cock and fine business proposition. He's the grandest thing yet, and don't you forget it. Shout salvation and King Jesus! You'll need to rise precious early, you sinner there, if you want to diddle the Almighty God. Right! Not half. He's got a cough mixture with a punch in it for you, my friend, in his back pocket. Just you try it out.